1 need some help, and 33 need a lot of help to be ready. This is a huge issue for children starting kindergarten behind. The research says third grade reading is one of the best predictors of a child's success in school. For those that are starting so far behind, they're stuck with struggling to catch up. And they spend quite a bit of their school life struggling to catch up. And in many cases, they don't catch up. So it wasn't surprising, given the qualitative reports, survey results I shared earlier, families reading more together with their children. And we asked Case Western Reserve to do an analysis of kindergarten readiness assessment scores for Cleveland going to the CMSD and entering school districts, and found that there was a positive relationship between Imagination Library participation and better kindergarten readiness. Now for those, what I call collateral benefits. Brain development. The first 3 years in a child's life, 85% of their brain is developed. We know that the home environment is going to play a key role in development of that brain during those first 3 years. And yet we virtually leave it to chance that a child will be born and go home to a neurologically stimulating home environment that has books in it. Yet we know that's not always the case across our county. Imagination Library is putting books into homes. We have from our survey results, families are reading more to their children. That is helping to build those neurons, those synapses, those connections get stronger in the brain. Other benefits of families and children reading together: bonding, listening skills, cognitive language development, expanded vocabulary, attention span, and social emotional development. Currently, we have 37,000 children enrolled in Cuyahoga County. There are nearly 71,000 that are eligible, so we have about 52% enrolled. We are working every day to enroll more children and really how to figure out how to keep this program going for generations to come of children in Cuyahoga County. I'll leave you just with one quote I heard from writer James Baldwin. "For these are our children. We will either all profit by or pay for what they become." We have an opportunity, I believe, with Imagination Library to set the trajectory so much higher for children in our community. So I certainly ask for your consideration and support of this allocation, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Bob. Any questions from committee?
Not really a question, but just how supportive I am of this, these funding dollars. Reading is important. As a kid, my mother read to me. It was comic books, but the first one I ever had was read to me by my mother. So I got those Disney books in the mail. The idea of just seeing my own name on something coming into the house for me at 6 years old, it was, it was important to me. It made you feel good. So this is a resolution I support, and don't have any particular questions, but I look forward to be supportive.
And these books do come in the name of the children. On the mailing label, it's the child's name. So like you, what parents tell me all the time is the day that book comes in the mail, the child wants to read, wants to read, wants to read. And one more thing I'll mention, we find that through our surveys, families go to the libraries more often as a result of getting these books. It's not surprising to me, because once a child develops a love of books and reading, one book a month's not enough. And so they go for more, and that's exactly where we want them to go. Because once a family goes to the library, they're going to be exposed to more resources and more opportunities, not only for the child, but for the adult and the parent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Through the chair to Mr. Perpinetti, I just wondered how our universal pre-K played a role into your data of reading literacy going up, because we've had universal pre-K for about 5 years now.
The analysis didn't include what other supports the child received, so they certainly could, and I hope they would have been enrolled in universal quality pre-K. Again, it's one of those things that we promote among the families that we serve. One of the great things about this program is, by virtue of them signing up in Cuyahoga County, we have the mailing address for all 37,000 of those children, and we ask for a mailing address and a phone number, and actually we get that from about 80% of the families. So we have over 40,000 email addresses that we use to inform families of important resources and services that are available to them. And we do that on behalf of our partners. So recently, Pre-for-Clee had a information and registration at the Natural History Museum. So they asked us if we would text that information to city families that had a 4-year-old. So prior to us sending the text out, they told us they had 500 registrations. After we sent the text, the registrations went up to 1,000. So we do that on behalf of our partners, again, for things that are of no cost. And by the way, I don't know if I mentioned, there is no cost to a family to participate in this program ever. Dolly Parton requires that we don't ask for money, we don't solicit. It's completely free to families. However, it's not a free program. We've been very fortunate to have the support of this body in the past. Also, foundations have been very supportive in helping us keep the program sustained. But in the future, it's one of those things we have to consider how we keep it going and what organizations can help support the program long-term so that it can be available for generations of children. And one thing I'll mention, Councilwoman, your question of we're very supportive of quality preschool. That starts at 3 or 4 years old. One of the things, as I mentioned, the 0 to 3 time frame is critical. It's the optimal time for brain development in children. I heard a doctor tell me that when a child is born, if they're healthy, every major organ in their body is pretty much working as it will until the end of life, except their brain. Their brain is not developed. There are hundreds of billions of neurons in that brain looking for that stimulation, that nourishment that's going to help those neurons grow, those connections, that wiring. And if they don't get that, those neurons actually start to shrivel up a little bit, and some elements of brain development actually start to drop a little bit after the age of 3. And we've heard those old tales that it's easier for a child to learn to play an instrument than an adult, right? I mean, those musical neurons in my brain have shriveled up a little bit. I can still learn how to play, but there's such an opportunity in those first 3 years to catch that brain at that early stage that I think we're missing an opportunity by not doing that, by waiting until they get to be 3 or 4 or 5 and they get into school.
I'm just very supportive of this program. Any literacy is very helpful. The Dolly Parton Imagination, isn't that also funded by, was initially funded by the governor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? I have questions. So, do you have anything, Councilman Miller? What is this money, this allocation? How would this be used?
It'll be used to support the books. So from the Dolly Parton organization, actually the cost to get the books and have the books mailed is $2.20 per book. It's an incredibly cost-effective program. You can't buy the books for $2.20. The state of Ohio picks up $1.10 of that, so they pay for half of that. So locally, we have to raise $1.10 for every book, as well as the cost to administer, enroll children, follow up and do the report. So it actually, what we say, it costs about $2 per month for us at a local level to support the program. So generally $24, $25 a year per child per year in the program. So the cost will be to support books and the support and management of the program.
The staff?
Yes.
Okay. And so in particular, is there a waiting list? I mean, do you have money in the bank waiting for enrollees, or where's that balance right now? Or
We enroll them when we can find them, so there's no waiting list. We don't at this point have a number to say when we hit this number, we have no more money. I have faith in our community that we're going to have the funds to keep the program going.
And the ages on these kids start when?
Birth to
Birth?
age 5. Yep.
So there's clearly I never realized there was such a detriment for families getting books because of libraries and used bookstores, and books are everywhere. So I didn't realize this barrier exists.
Yeah, it's significant. And it is surprising as well. I mean, but it's not unusual for when we encounter families to say, we have no, in fact, one of our survey questions we ask is, we try to get what % of books do Imagination Library books make up of your home library? In the high poverty zip codes, 48% of respondents from the high poverty zip codes say Imagination Library books make up 75% or more of the books in their home.
Okay. So when you talk about sustainability, is that because the state might stop the funding, or what's your concern about sustainability?
So as I said, we have to raise the $1.10 plus the cost to run the program. So if it costs $2 per month per child, there's 37,000 enrolled. I think we could potentially get to 50,000. So 50,000 times $25 per year is $1,250,000, I believe. So, if we get to 50, whether 50,000 is the maximum enrollment, there's 71,000 children in Cuyahoga County that are under the age of 5. So what's a reasonable number that would be considered the max?
Do you get any money from CMSD or that McKenzie grant that just came through?
We do not.
You do not.
It's been, except for your funding last year, it's all philanthropy or private donations.
Okay,
Corporate.
well, I think I am an avid reader. From the minute I was born, I was grabbing at books. I don't think there's anything more important. I have 3 or 4 going any given time. I think it's the most fundamental, most important thing for a child to be exposed to. They learn about other places and, countries,
Yeah.
animals, vocabulary, strengthening the neurons, curiosity.
Although, and
All of it.
it opens so many doors for them. And again, it helps it's that foundation, so that when they go to kindergarten, they have the foundation, the exposure to words, to print, the sounds, the letters, where they can begin to learn to read. They just don't have that when they're born. They don't have this literacy so this exposure to the books is giving the students a boost that they otherwise would not have. And now I was at an event this morning for Cleveland Reads, the reading campaign Cleveland Public Library is doing. And Superintendent Eric Gordon talked about the challenge of children entering kindergarten not prepared, but said that the school, their teachers do a good job of turning it around. Why do we have to be resigned to working from a deficit position? Imagine if those children could start kindergarten prepared and ready to learn. What would be the potential? Perhaps we can put more money into gifted programming instead of remedial program. We spend a ton of money on remediation, tutoring to help children catch up. And it would, getting them there so we can perhaps save that money and invest it otherwise in those children and their future, I think would be.
I think this is low-hanging fruit, and I was an English major, literature, so this is something really important to me, but we're going to hold this back because I'd like to add some money.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to amend it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so with staff and clerk, so should we just hold this in committee then and come back with an amendment? That's what I'm going to do.
If that's what you'd like, you can.
I don't. I want to look, but I'd like to add additional dollars. So we'll hold this and come back we have to bring it back, right, to committee? All right, we'll do that. You're okay with
I
that? Right.
love talking about it.
I
I'll come
know.
back.
Okay, so bring us some samples next time of some of the books.
I absolutely
And
will.
we'll hold this in committee.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yep.
Have a good afternoon.
I didn't know that. Okay, let's add, I'm going to go out of order. I didn't know that one of our presenters has to leave, and we started late. Derek, want to come on up? We'll read the item 2023-0100.
Resolution number 2023-0100, awarding a total sum not to exceed $75,000 to the West Creek Conservancy for the acquisition and conservation of 15 acres of headwater habitat of the Chippewa Creek watershed from the District 11 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Derek, how much time do you have?
Yeah, a couple minutes. It's fortuitous timing. It's our annual meeting tonight.
Okay.
So I'm okay to answer some questions, absolutely. Can I throw up those? I just brought a couple slides for visuals of the project itself. So my name is Derek Schaefer with West Creek Conservancy, and I'm usually up here with Clean Ohio request support, but this is an opportunity to work with the school district and the city of North Royalton on preserving a 15-acre piece in the headwaters of Chippewa Creek. And for years, the balanced growth initiatives were planned across various watersheds, specifically like Furnace Run and Chippewa Creek. And we've been working in the city of North Royalton and in partnership with them over years to protect these headwater areas. So it's Category 3 wetlands, Class 3 headwater streams, plethora of very high quality wetland habitat and bad habitat. And being in kind of an urban area, these things have to be acquired in piecemeal fashion. And so it's puzzling back together conservation areas along these corridors. And this property specifically is identified in the balanced growth plan, and it will coincide with a future residential development along Wallings Road. And this is just an opportunity to acquire one of the, these are tough parcels to fund because they're not huge tracts. They have to be bought in little pieces and parts and kind of assembled. But in the balanced growth plan, this property or this area is identified in a larger complex of about 127 acres. And we started getting, once the school district was demolishing the former school property at Valley Vista, we started getting calls from residents and concerned citizens to protect this area. And many of our other funding sources, this is not applicable. It's just too small, too isolated, but we worked with the city of North Royalton just to the west of it, preserved another 20 acres headwater, Chippewa. So it's just kind of like piece by piece along within the watershed. And obviously Chippewa is a direct tributary to the Cuyahoga. And over the last year, and actually coming soon, we're working with the city of Broadview Heights, just downstream of this, to protect another 54 acres of Chippewa. So it's, we're working through 2, 3, 4 cities at this point within the watershed, implementing balanced growth plans. And it's ideal to actually implement these plans. Communities and other nonprofits have spent a tremendous amount of funding and time and resource putting together these balanced growth plans. So to have the opportunity to actually do something and actually buy them, and that's what I'm respectfully asking for support today, is just to kind of buy another piece of the puzzle, and it'll just be a preservation area. We were very surprised of how high quality the wetland and stream complexes were, and starting next week, we'll be going out and getting additional bat habitat data because the northern long-eared and the Indiana bat are both supposedly in the area as well. So it'd just be an acquisition and passively accessible green space to the residential area until it becomes connected into a larger corridor.
Questions? Do you envision this is going to connect, right?
Yeah, I do operate on altruism, and it does take time. We've pieced together West Creek Reservation parcel by parcel, 110 transactions, Mill Creek through Highland Hills, City of Cleveland, Warrensville Heights, Garfield, Big Creek through 5 different cities, and it is just parcel by parcel. We don't have a lot of large, huge tracts of land left, so piece by piece, and that's kind of our forte, is puzzling back together an otherwise very fragmented system. Ohio's lost over 90% of its wetlands, and every opportunity what we get to, especially buy high-quality wetlands, we like to pounce on. So
So the plan, the balanced growth plan does not call for development that would intercede in this potential corridor? That's okay.
This is a priority conservation area specifically identified, and the property just west and down upstream was also a priority conservation area, and downstream in Broadview Heights also the same. So the city, we've worked with each of our community partners to make sure that we're not interfering with economic development either.
Yes, Councilman Miller.
In the slide that you had up, can you explain the item that says invasive emergent marsh? What does that mean?
Oh, so the previous owner of the previous entity performed a wetland restoration project and basically didn't manage it. So it is a kind of like, we'll call it an emergent wetland, just completely overwhelmed with Phragmite and loosestrife. So if we have the opportunity to work on this property, we will manage invasives as we do on all of our other properties. So basically, it's a wetland pocket that's completely overwhelmed with invasive species.
And how do you manage the invasive species?
So we treat twice a year, and it's depending on the type of species, whether it's like a loosestrife or a Phragmite or garlic mustard. Sometimes it's chemical application, sometimes it's manual removal. But we do it both on contractor basis, watershed stewardship volunteer basis, and staff basis. So just depending on the property.
So you would remove the invasive species?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we try to get down to, if we have a 10% invasive species, which we're only about 6 on this site, we're pretty good. So it's a small pocket. But we love to have our sites maintain a less than 10% invasive species.
Okay. Any other questions, Councilman Miller? No? Okay. The only question I have is, first of all, was this owned by the city? Like, where's the
School district.
School district. Okay, in North Royalton. And they're demoing and demoed a
Demoed
school.
Valley Vista, yes.
And now we're going to create this habitat. Just can you state before you go the importance of having wetlands in today changing climate, with climate change, how this would impact
Absolutely.
the mitigation of what we're going to see.
The simplest explanation I give for wetlands is that they're basically our kidney in our natural environment. They filter pollutants, they hold back stormwater, they protect infrastructure, and we commonly refer to these natural areas as green infrastructure, when in reality, they're just infrastructure, natural infrastructure. And so, and aside from the actual infrastructure protection and stormwater abatement and sediment and nutrient filtration and the pollutant filtration, they're also highly supportive of a diverse quality of wildlife. And pollinator habitat and bat habitat. So, and they, we can look at fragmented green space, and sometimes green space is just good for green space, but wetlands are our true water quality treatment, and we all drink from that big puddle to the north. So this goes right into the Cuyahoga, right into Lake Erie. So every little pocket, though it seems negligible, of 15 acres, every little pocket helps treat a tremendous amount of drinking water before it hits our main waterways.
Yeah, thank you for that. I just want to say that, biomimicry now and cities are using more natural ways to control the water or filter water. And instead, we've got nature that you can't beat the biodiversity and what that does. But it's interesting that we used to have all the sewers, it's concrete, and you've got this artificial landscape that has not been effective.
Absolutely.
So we're all going toward natural now, but
And they do,
this-
for your question on resiliency, they're also a sink for heat. They're not reflecting heat like pavement or concrete does. So wetlands and green spaces like this, especially forested wetland complexes, they're a great, filter, essentially, and trap heat, they absorb heat and absorb temperature versus refract it back into the atmosphere.
Just to reiterate, this, conservation of wetlands in particular, how that is not only for the habitat, the diversity, the animals, the wildlife, but it's for people. I mean, this is something that will have a legacy to survive as humans with this kind of protection. And without that,
Yes.
I think we're in trouble.
Absolutely. We have moved inside, buried, trenched, done with water what we've wanted to, and we've kind of learned the lesson, and a lot of it is protect what we have left, restore what we can to an ecological functional status, reclaim certain things that shouldn't have been developed in the first place, and a lot of times we have to mitigate previous bad effects, and if we have intact wetland complexes in the first place, opportunity to jump, pounce, keep it that way. Because
Correct.
with ever-changing federal, state laws, development doesn't not happen on wetlands.
Yeah, just so everyone knows, there was a federal a court case that diminished the definition, reduced what a wetland and streams are. They're making it harder to protect now with the court coming out with its most recent decision. So it's disturbing, but all we can do is act locally. So I asked thank you. So you have to go, and there's no other questions. I'm going to make a motion that this matter be referred to the next full council meeting for second reading, hopefully with a recommendation of approval on third reading. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thanks for this work, and keep me posted.
Thanks for the consideration.
Thank you. Okay. Our other item out of order is 2023-0098, the Family First Child Care Resolution.
Resolution number 2023-0098, awarding a total sum not to exceed $40,000 to Family First Child Care, doing business as Family First Village for the GED Works program from the District 9 ARPA Community Grant Fund.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting us down to tell you about our program. Family First Child Care and Enrichment.
Can you give your name
My name
first?
is Michelle Clark. Michelle Clark, Dr. Michelle Clark.
Thank you.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Family First Child Care and Enrichment Center, also known as Family First Village, is a human service organization. We do a lot of things for our youth as well as our seniors. The program I'm here to talk to you today about is directly referring to our children and our youth. So we serve children 6 weeks to 12 years of age in our traditional child care setting. We also serve children 13 to 17 years of age at our Teen at Risk Center. This Teen at Risk Center is a fairly new program in which we wrote and pitched and piloted through the Cuyahoga County through Cuyahoga County. We are taking children that are awaiting placement. So youth that have been taken from their homes and social workers are looking for placement. These children were being nowhere to go until there was a placement made for them. They were being housed in the Jane Edna building. But now, since we have piloted this program, they're able to come to our center, which is really just in walking distance from the Jane Edna building. And when they come to our center, they experience different daily activities. So we have a mentoring program where we have volunteers that pair up with our children. We have choir. We have inspirational journaling and readings. We have basic life skills where the children learn how to cook and wash their clothes and fold and iron and things of that nature. We also have physical activities. We have a workout gym. We have gift assessment software where we assess the children, what they're good at and what things that they think they might want to do as they get older. This particular program, we usually see children that are teenagers that are they're the ones that are usually a little more harder to place, although we do have other children under the age of 12 years of age that also are a part of the village. So we have tutoring and we have soft resume. We have soft writing skills like resume writing. We have a free store where we collect donations from different ministries and different individuals that we teach financial literacy by giving them Family First Bucks, we call it, which they can go in the store and buy the needed items with their Family First Bucks that they have earned. We do field trips that our corporate sponsors help us to take them to, like Cavs games. We've been to the Browns facility, and we've been to hockey games and things of that sort. We pick up the children every morning and we drop them off in the evening. They eat breakfast, lunch, and snack at our facility. And we also have a plethora of other services, and I'll talk about those in my breakout because that's what you have in front of you. Once we do the gift assessment with them and we figure out what things they would more than likely like to learn about, we put them in areas. So the 4 areas that we concentrate on at the village are the health careers, literary arts, recording arts, and now hospitality. So in the health careers area, they kind of get the intro into home health aides. So it is our hope that if they want to do something in health careers, that we start to do first aid and things of that nature. So we kind of just try to spark an interest. We have a literary arts program where they make a book. We have a partnership with Cleveland Public Library that allows them, once they complete it, they have agreed to catalog these books and make it available for them and their families or others that support them to check out. We have a print, within that literary arts program, it's called the Print Master Program. In our facility, we do have the capability to make, cut, bind books. So they learn how to do that through our Print Master Program. We have a studio in our facility where our children are exposed to the recording arts. We have 4 radio shows that come on weekly on WOVU, in which these children learn to produce shows. Some of them have been given permission through ODJFS to participate. And then our hospitality program, which is learning how to serve. And this will be a new program. This is some of the funding that we're asking for in regards to this hospitality center. So we do have a small event center in our location that we can serve others for lunch or special events. And so that's what we want to develop, because what we are finding that these teenagers that are coming into our care are looking for the future. So they want to get skills to be able to work. And so this program would allow them to get the customer service skills that they need to be able to be employed. and also for us to be able to increase our income to be more to be sustainable. This would allow us to have a small cafe in our building, which would serve not only the community but the people that work there, and it would also allow us to employ our teenagers part-time, and for the events be able to give them stipends. So it's just a creative way for us to be able not to only give them skills but to also continue to make ourselves sustainable as well. So this program here, the Youth Awaiting Placement Program, we do have a small, we were awarded a small contract in January with Cuyahoga County, which is about 2/3 up right now. It was supposed to be for the year, but the need is so great that we have just been serving these children daily as they come in. We're also a respite center, and what that means is for those children that are placed in a home, if those parents or families go on vacation, or if they have to leave for whatever reason, or if they need child care or youth care or teen, need their teens to stay busy, we are allowed to take those children as well for the day, for the week, for the month. Those children also go on spring break and Christmas break and all those things. We serve as a respite to those caregivers that need it. So let's see. We are asking for these funds for our hospitality center and for our GED Works program. So the GED Works program is a program that allows us to prep students, not just youth, but any adult, anyone that needs to get their GED to take the GED test. So what we're asking for is support to buy the needed computers, and also with the GED Works program, it's like a license to be able to use the software. So we do have to pay per student. It's $500 for each GED student to go through the program. The good thing about us being able to provide this program is because the children that come into our care through this program are usually children that have been in foster care for a lot of years. Therefore, they have been moving around from school district to school district. So it's really hard for them to do traditional high school and things of that nature. So this would allow us to work with them to get them up and ready to take the GED test. And as I stated, the GED, the community impact that this would do for us, not only to help our youth, our teens, but also the parents of our of a lot of our child care students would be surprised that do not have their GED, and this would be opened up to the community as well for them to take. I think I covered everything as far as the programming is concerned. If there's any questions, I did bring, I forgot about my special guest. I did bring a student of our village, Mr. Dominic, if you can come join me. He wanted to come and share what difference Family First Village has made in his life. And just, this is a prime example of a student that has come in our village. We call it a village because once you come, you're family for life. And he has been placed, he's 11 years old, he's been placed in residential care, but he still attends our program on a daily basis after he does his school, after he goes to school. So Dominic, could you share what you think?
Well, when I first went to Family First, I thought it was pretty nice, and I didn't know how to read, and then they taught me how to read a little bit better. And when I first went, I ain't believe in God. And then they started making us read. They had us read Bibles and stuff. And then I started going to Family First Church.
He is really up. That is not a requirement, but because we are a family and we are a village, even though Dominic was placed at T-Suites, one of the residential care programs for teenagers, he does not have to come to our program, but he requests to come, and that's a good thing. And we want to have a home-based situation. As these children are moving about and are placed in different places, we are the home base. And although we've just been providing care for these teenagers for less than a year, you would be very surprised to see how many children stay connected. We do every Wednesday, we have a Zoom call for those kids that have been placed. We have children that have been placed all the way in Arkansas. I mean, because after COVID, 50% of the teen housing were closed down, and they have to send these children out of state. And so with that, we're able to still stay connected, and you would be surprised how many are happy to see our faces again and know that once they are emancipated or whatever happens, that they do have a home base. They do have us to come back to.
Thank you, young man. Thanks, Dominic. Good job. Any questions? What kind of building is it? I have a question.
Oh, yeah, we have a 50,000 square foot building located on the corner of 46 and Carnegie. Our building is open for tours every day between 10 and 4. We love partners. That's the way we are able to even keep our doors open, by explaining our program and opening it up to the community. On the community radio station I mentioned, it's called Great News Cleveland. We do a lot of talking about our building and our programs to attract people like yourselves to come on in and see what we're doing and become a part of our village through mentorship or any other way you want to participate.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh, Councilman Miller, then President.
So, Madam Chair, Dr. Clark, I would just like to congratulate you on all the fine work that you do for our community, and particularly for the work that you're doing to help the children who are between placements. That has been an extremely difficult and frustrating problem for us, and we really appreciate the help that you're providing so that those children can be better served during that difficult time. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We consider it an honor to serve God's children.
Dr. Clark, thank you, Madam Chair. Dr. Clark, where is on 46th and Carnegie?
Yes.
What's the name on the building? Maybe that's a...
Well, good. You can come along and help us get this up. Signage that we need also. But no, on the building, it just has our address, 4600 Carnegie. It's a very, very large building. We actually have been, we are under contract, and hopefully we'll be closing in the next 7 to 10 days. And at that time, then we will be putting out our signage and things.
Be there, okay.
Yes. We've been there now for a few years, at least 4 or 5, and but it wasn't our building yet. So we have taken over different parts of the building, and now we pretty much have the whole entire facility.
I was the corner because I pass by every day. So
Yeah,
I know.
it's right across the street from the dry cleaners, the
D.O. Summers.
D.O. Summers, yes.
Got you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I know exactly where you are.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Along the same line of the questions that Councilman Miller had, again, the challenges in Jane Edna Hunter are things that we're still looking to address. But obviously, you are part of the solution.
Yes,
Obviously,
thank
you've been
you.
doing this for several years now. Is that correct?
Well, I've been a foster mother since my 20s, which was some decades ago. Decades and decades. But 75% of our staff are foster parents or either were in the foster care system, which is wonderful because we understand the system, and that's why a lot of the children that are deemed to be, with these labels don't frustrate us because we've seen it all, and so it's very rewarding work for us. I brought. She had to leave, but there are several staff members there that we know what happens. They bug back on love and all that. We get through all that stuff, and then we get to the real deal. And the staff is so committed and so dedicated to this working. It's really not a job for us. It's more like a ministry, and that's how we treat it. Dominic mentioned coming to church. That is not a requirement, but what's good about it is once they do connect, they don't want to. They find us. I mean, on Sunday, he just walks in. You know what I mean? Because they want to be with family. They want to feel included and a part of something.
That's a good thing. I
Yes.
have no issue with that. I'm trying to really formulate my question, but just speaking plainly, the attraction of people, of the young children that, like you say, they just want to come in. Obviously, that's not Jane and the Hunter because it's an office building.
Yes.
You know, your on-the-ground experience is something I'm just trying to just pick your brain, so to speak, about. The children can leave Jane and the Hunter anytime they want, and they do. Do you find yourselves, because what I'm hearing you say is no matter how difficult they are, you feel like you can meet the needs?
Yeah, I hear what you're asking. I'll just give you a little more information about myself. I have a bachelor's in human services. I have a master's in biblical counseling and a doctorate in biblical counseling. So the counseling piece, once we bring them in and we sit down, we do an intake to find out of course, we read all the background information, and then through our interviewing process, we can find out, try to get down to the root of things, because kids are not innately bad. They're not bad. Okay, so some things have happened in their life, some traumatic experiences that have happened to cause certain behaviors, and they act out. And if they feel that if they don't trust you, it's hard to get them to, look at their behavior. So we work with them initially, just trying to find out who they are, letting them talk. That's a big one. No matter how the words that come out of their mouths, and we can work with that later, but we listen to them. That's number one. And then after we listen to them, we can kind of create a plan. And every child is different, and that's how we treat them. It's not like just lumping them all into one big thing. They're all different, and they all have a different plan, and they all have a different road that we try to put them in as they work together as a group. And that's what's good, too. They get some social interaction with kids that are just like them in this situation, and so that there's no shame there. And so once we kind of, get to know them and we start, these people just start to love them. I mean, we have a lot of volunteers, missionaries, evangelists. We are a faith-based organization, but that is not a requirement by any means to participate in our program. But it is though that love that we give, I believe, is different than going to other places. I believe because we do love them genuinely, I think they can take correction. They can be redirected because they do trust us. I believe that's a big piece of it. And you're right, they can leave Jane Etna whenever they want, and usually they leave there and walk over to our place and ring the, yeah, they do.
So, okay. Because you're not far.
No, we're in walking distance. Yes.
I probably have a million questions, but I'm gonna wait. Maybe we can get your numbers afterward. And,
Yes,
and we can
I would
talk
like
about
that. I would like very much to work with helping the county, or in whatever way that I can, with, what the things that I've seen that I think that we need to do. I believe it's our responsibility to look after these children for no fault of their own. They have landed in the system, and it's our responsibility to make sure that they get out and that they are productive citizens, and they are good innately. And I believe that, I'm not a fan of the labels, so we work on, talking about that a lot, and trying to remove those things from their mind, because they hear that also, and then sometimes they start to emulate what is being cast upon them. So, yeah, for sure, I would love to be a part of any decision-making in regards to foster care.
Past, have you shared any of your thoughts with administration, or been asked for your
Yes, we were
insight.
awarded just recently, just last month, the Community Partner Award by County Exec, Mr. Ronayne, and we are involved somewhat, on a small level with things, and we've gone back and forth to what we needed. But I think now, because we've done the work, we haven't been back in front of them since we've actually done the work, besides being awarded that award. I think now that maybe would be a better time to sit back down and talk about what's working, because I do think that they have seen there's a pattern that does work with these children. And so we would like to talk about that in more depth. We also need to see about, if possible, amending, because the contract for our year, for the whole entire year, was $70,000. And that is pretty much gone. It will be exhausted by June. And so we are trying to look for ways to remain sustainable. That's part of why the proposal is in front of you now, is to help to add income streams so that we can keep serving these children.
Have you ever put a child out of your facilities?
No, never.
Never, not,
Never.
Just to follow up, if I can, to the president's question, but they can leave if they want. I mean, they can come and go, just
Oh,
like
yes,
Janet.
they can
right?
come and go.
Yeah, they come and go.
And we've had a child that would, but you have to understand why. If they want to leave, it's usually because they're not getting any response from the worker. They get anxious because if you've been taken away from your home and you're dropped off in a place with all these strangers, and the only connection you may have to your house is your social worker. And if they're busy, because our social workers are working to try to place them somewhere, and they don't get an answer or response, and they get anxious. We did have one child that just got so anxious that needed to see them, because they need to know where's their mom or where's their family, But we normally what we do, we'll just walk with them to Jane Atna and ask, once we got that answer, we walk back and everything just fell back into place. So, there's so many reasons for different actions and different behaviors. It's, when are we going to stop and get to the root of the problem instead of, just medicating them? That's a big one, and just passing it off.
Jane Edna Hunter is an office building. To your point, when you've been taken from your home and you think you're going somewhere safe or the proper for
Right.
whatever it is, and then you find out you're in an office building, you say, is this for me? Is this
Yeah,
about
it's
me?
very
Is this-
traumatic. It's very traumatic. And remember, they're usually taken out without any clothing, without any of their personal belongings. So when they get to us, they have gone through intake, have not gotten to sleep yet, and they're just dropped off. No clothes, no personal belongings, and around these strange people, and a lot. That's where all the behaviors were coming up in the building, because we weren't taking the time. We let them sleep. They come in, they're tired, they haven't slept, for sure. Sleep, eat. We take care of those basic needs first, and then we get down to what's going on. Yeah.
Give me a sense of what it looks like in your building. Is it an office
Yeah,
building?
you can definitely come to it. It is a educational facility. One side of the building is a child care center. It used to be Life Skills. So if you've been in Life Skills, that's where our traditional child care center is, 6 weeks to 12 years of age. In the middle of that building is it doesn't really feel like an office building or look like an office building. It's kind of like a lot of open spaces that we have converted into like a home type feel. We have TV, we have karaoke, we have music, we have large couches. When they first enter into our building, we do a sit down, we call it circle time, where we sit down and talk about what happened the night before. What are you feeling? If you don't want to talk, you don't have to. We're giving them inspirational quotes. We are speaking life into them, letting them know that their best days are ahead of them, and that, everything is going to eventually be all right, but there's steps, and this is a process. And that's what a lot of times they want to hear is what can I expect? I've been put for my house, and no one has told me anything. What can I expect? So once you start to talk to them and they start to kind of calm down, then you can move to the next step. Once they go through that, we start our activities for the day. We do arts, crafts, sewing. We have regular academic lessons, whatever they fit, wherever they want to do. We don't force, but we do the physical activities daily in order to get them moving and release some of that stress and tension. Welcome.
Okay. So with that being said, I'll make a motion to move this matter to the next full council meeting for second reading with a recommendation of passage on third reading. We're going to have one recusal, but all in favor?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And please add my name.
Okay, we're adding president's name and one recusal, so this matter carries.
Madam Chair, I would like my name added
Okay,
as well.
I'll add mine as well. Okay, thank you for your work. We
Oh,
appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, thanks for bringing Dominic and, all right. Going to the next council meeting. I have no miscellaneous business. We're adjourned.